Hi everyone, I'm Sandy from Zen Architects. We approached our design from a number of different aspects. One of the social sustainability, how we might be able to foster intergenerational living or flexible living. We wanted to respond to the actual context appropriately, implement environmentally sustainable principles given the pretty tough conditions. The 30-metre hole, as it was referred, which is pretty tough, and interrogating how even a small footprint can really establish a really livable condition via the implementation of gardens, an outdoor space without having to build to the entire boundaries from every side. So we started looking at the social point of view, challenging sort of what a contemporary family of four would need to be like, because it's obviously not every sort of a family of four could live in this location. So we went right back to Corb's studies into flexible living within a fixed structure and sort of the user-defined programs, which then led into the Baugruppe, which is German-led, sorry about my pronunciation, model of user-defined user-initiated models of housing where they engage an architect and work with an architect to, within a set structure, stack residents and share communal spaces, and really have community-oriented dwellings with no sort of fixed model of how they go about that. So we've sort of condensed that principle into our design, which sort of rather than necessarily stacking dwellings, stacks rooms, which in themselves could be dwellings. In our case, for a family of four, we've spread that over 3 levels. The plans we've shown show the ground level as a bedroom with facilities, middle level as living, dining, kitchen, and the upper level as bedrooms for the children. This could be broken down further into the base level being subletted completely as an independent residence, while the upper 2 levels continue to function as a self-sustaining house. Each level could be an apartment in itself. Base and upper levels could be independent with shared facilities in the middle, or broken down further into being independent rooms for students or short stay accommodation, which then share facilities via the middle living area. So we've applied this idea of how flexible living could be applied into this particular site within the relatively inhospitable context. So we've wrapped these rooms in a skin, permeable skin, which creates shielded outdoor spaces, allowing privacy, shielding from the views inside, allowing a release from the rooms, which in turn the skin opens up strategically, looking down that laneway towards Burke Street, as a release from within that skin to be able to have the only real uninterrupted view that's not at risk of being developed over. It's a laneway that's going to stay there, as well as a little release looking up between those buildings over there. From the outside, that opening also offers something to the context as a release of green space within this really densely built environment, sort of carved away in a sculptural gesture to make the building act as a bit of a jewel within the CBD. Internally, within this skin, it becomes a bit of an oasis with a really experiential quality to that light coming through there. You can feel you've got access to natural breezes. Sunlight, the limited direct sunlight that you can get through here, can penetrate down through the carved away, and garden can start to occupy the structure, which in itself is independent of the rooms, allowing it to be carved away to step down to rooftops, which can be occupied by gardens, gardens occupying within the structural skin itself as well, or the skin carving away to become voids. the relationships internally between these rooms are really carefully curated to allow the outdoor space adjacent to these rooms to function as part of the internal space itself. The built area of these floors, of these rooms, is only around about 55 square metres total, whereas using the adjacent outside spaces of each room, it's able to function as a much larger house without the needs for heating and cooling the total floor area. So when there is a need, it can be closed down and just heated individual spaces as required, or otherwise open right up to have relationships between the rooms and the outdoor spaces beyond them. Environmentally, our approach, given, as I mentioned, the limited direct sunlight to the site, which is something we normally would try and draw upon as a primary resource, we saw the access to the sky as something we do have. So the skin acts as a harvesting system for water as well, channeling water from the roof down to a tank on the ground level, which would then be able to circulate that throughout the house, the gardens. So creating within these spaces this sort of a joyful experience without needing to build over every single square metre of the site. Creating within the concrete jungle its own little concrete jungle on this site, which is, I guess, the name of the model, which in turn starts to communicate this play between inside and outside that we've tried to create.